Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Toby Corlieu. I am the Director of Enrollment Management and Strategic Initiatives for the MSc program here at Northwestern University, and I'm excited to welcome you to our second webinar Wednesday of the fall. If you didn't have a chance, last week's webinar was all about the application to the program that is posted on our website, and you may have received it in an email. If you have any lingering questions about the application, we're happy to answer any of those. But today I'm very excited. We have a special guest with us, Pat Messina, Associate Director of Career Services with the MSc program. And we are going to talk all things MSc career today. And we're going to do it in a couple different ways. So first, we're going to have some introductions and learn a little bit more about Pat and her background and her story. And then career services, the way they're delivered in the MSc program can kind of be broken out into two different versions, I guess. So we have some individual services that you're going to get one-on-one attention, and then some group services that you're going to, be shared with in a larger gatherings of people. And so we'll walk through that and then leave some time at the end for any questions that you might have for Pat about the career services. Like I said, this is being recorded and we'll be able to share it with you later. You are all muted at this point, so if you do have any questions throughout, please feel free to submit those in the chat, and that is how we will do the Q&A portion at the end as well. But otherwise, I would like to kind of jump right in. So Pat, you have been with the MSc program for how long now?
Almost 4 years.
Almost 4 years, but you took a circuitous kind of path to the MSc, and I think that your background really lends itself to the work that you do. You have been in kind of some version of career services, but also owned companies and led multiple kind of professional lives of your own. I don't know, what's your life story in 2 minutes or less, I guess, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about your background, please?
2 minutes.
Right.
Well, I've had a career path that has taken a lot of turns, and I really believe in exploring, not that straight trajectory that everybody wants to plan, but sometimes doors open, and when you go through them unexpectedly, you discover things about yourself and gifts that you have that you didn't realize you could offer people. I have a background in hospitality and retail, were my two big things. I've worked for Williams-Sonoma, Crate and Barrel, Let Us Entertain You, just to name a few that are known in the city. And I also had my own recruiting firm for a couple of years as well. And that happened because I discovered working for all those companies that one of the gifts I had was that I loved hiring people and could usually pick out great people to hire. And many of them are still in those companies today and have long-term careers. So I do encourage people to kind of go through the MSc program and really do a lot of exploration in what you think your career path should be or you want it to be. And that's what I do with people in the program. And that's kind of it in a nutshell. I mean, I could go on. I've worked in contract roles in recruiting at Abbott Labs. So I've recruited tech people, did a lot of work back in Y2K with technology. I've recruited everything. So I think that's where in our program, because the MSc program is so broad and we pull in people from all different industries, I can be helpful in your career path. And maybe sometimes people come to me and they don't know what they want to do. And since I've had exposure to a lot of different things, I can usually help people figure out somewhere to go. So
right. I think that part is particularly fascinating, right? You spent so much time on the other side of the table, conducting interviews, reading resumes for so many different industries. And you even did it for Northwestern before starting at MSc.
Yes, I actually came to Northwestern after a year and a half of unemployment when the housing bubble happened. So I've also had experience living through 3 or 4 downturns, which I understand is unpleasant. And there's ways to get through it and be resilient. Through networking, using a really robust network, I landed at Northwestern in the talent acquisition group. And like you said, there I read thousands of resumes that came in, hired people who are still at Northwestern. I'm still talking to them either through Northwestern or even on LinkedIn. It's really a pleasure to see people go up their career path when they start here. And the School of Communication was my client. So I actually kind of helped Amy and Anne Marie get into the program and loved working with the School of Communication. We did really well together and had a lot of great placements. And then they recruited me to come over and work with the students in all things career.
And full disclosure, me as well. So Pat was my HR
That's
contact
right.
when I started working here 5 years ago too. So I'll say thank you. I think there are probably a lot of other people that are, want to blame you for that, but I'm grateful. Wonderful. And so, like you said, you've been with MSC for 4 years, working in what's called the EPICS department. EPICS is an acronym. We love our acronyms here at Northwestern: External Programs, Internships, and Career Services.
Right.
And so it's really kind of the umbrella career services department for the School of Communication. And you're serving graduate students, undergraduate students, programs, individuals, etc. So I just want to kind of set the scene. So it's not just Pat by herself working in the entire School of Communication. It's a large group of people, but Pat's primarily responsible for students with the MSC, students and alumni with the MSC program. And a lot, like I said, we have this broken out into individual and group work. One of, I think, the most impactful pieces of taking advantage of career services for students is the one-on-one coaching sessions that they get with you. Can you tell us what happens in one of these meetings? Somebody says, I want to meet with you, and then they show up for their Zoom meeting, or pre-pandemic, it was in your office. What happens? Where do you start?
Well, and you're right, Toby. This is actually the one-on-one sessions is my favorite part of my job. And that's because in these sessions, I can tailor it to the student. So where when you're in a group, it's a group experience, right? It's not necessarily just speaking to you. So people can sign up for what we call a coaching session. And the first session, I'm just getting to know you and seeing what you think you want to do through the program. Most of the students are working in our program. So maybe you want to transition to a new role after you're done with the program. Right now, some people have been furloughed or laid off and are looking for work. Maybe you just want to stay in the company that you're in and get a promotion and move through the ranks there, so I can help people with salary negotiation. So we can tailor a program to each student, and that might be as basic as getting a resume in shape, updating. Maybe you haven't looked at your resume in 5 years. Certainly I'm just working on mine, and I hadn't looked at it in 9 years, literally. So I'm taking my own advice and trying to redo it and applying a lot of the things that you'll learn in the MSC program to doing that document and really upgrading your resume, making sure your LinkedIn is robust. We have all sorts of other documents that we work on through the program as well. So each coaching session is different. And you did mention that alumni as well are included in this. So sometimes people are in the program, they might meet with me once or twice and realize that they're going to defer some of these things until they're done with school, which I totally understand. So I've been doing a lot of work with alumni. My services are available after you graduate as well. And some of the alumni, because they've been in the workforce for a long time, some of them are getting hit a little harder with furloughs or layoffs at this point. So I'm doing a lot of work with them. Actually, with one alumni, she's going to go off on her own, and I'm actually reviewing a business plan with her. So it's always interesting. It's always different. people can request just about anything. You know, we explore industries, what companies you want to work for, and a lot of networking, a lot of making connections too. If you're a current student, maybe I hook you up with an alumni that's in that industry. So yeah, it's different for everyone.
Yeah,
And that Epics team, I just want to say there's like, I think 8 of us on the team. And if I can't find the information, we're all available to everyone. So, you know, you might be in an industry that maybe I'm not as familiar with, and I can refer you to somebody that does radio, TV, and film, or creative enterprises.
Yeah.
So we make sure that it's a good fit for you as well.
Right. Yeah, and I think that that makes a lot of sense. One of the and I think you started to touch on it. So students coming into the MSc program, our data suggests that students are interested in coming to grad school for generally one of 4 reasons. A, they want to advance in the organization that they're already a part of. B, they want to make a change. They want to make something maybe a little more dramatic, changing companies or changing industries. You just mentioned somebody going out on their own, people coming in with kind of entrepreneurial aspirations. And then the other one more broadly, it's just kind of personal growth, right? It's people maybe a little bit later in their career who aren't looking for a dramatic change, but just hoping to grow through learning. The vast majority of our students kind of fall into one of those earlier categories. And I think that I would think one of the most difficult pieces of your job would be trying to prepare for meetings with somebody who is a year out of college and somebody who is 20 years out of college and maybe interested in the second half or third part of their career. Is there how does preparation work for you along this kind of really wide spectrum of experience levels that exist in MSc?
Well, we do, once I find out where you're at on that path, we do have assessments and things that we do with students that helps us kind of point us in a direction. Again, just knowing industries, and we have so many workshops that we hold. Like the, 2 weeks ago, I think it was, we had LinkedIn guru come in, and he worked with everybody on their LinkedIn profile and how to do searches in LinkedIn. And I learned a lot too. It's difficult to stay up on all the things that LinkedIn can do for you.
Right.
So we hold a lot of workshops. We do a lot of investigative things like that. And I can actually put you on a program where we kind of have a check sheet and we go through things and we meet every 2 weeks if you want it that structured, or it can be a lot more informal.
Yeah.
And again, it's just tailored to whatever the student needs. And certainly I put it back on the student. There's some homework that they have to do as well.
Right.
So.
You mentioned resume preparation as one aspect of kind of early meetings with students. I don't know if there's much disagreement anymore out in the world that, different resume styles and are appropriate for different industries now. It used to be more of a one size fits all type thing. There was a template that everybody was semi-familiar with, but I think that there's a little more nuance in this now than there used to be. Is that fair to say?
Yes. And you can't just, back in the day, people literally printed up 100 resumes and it was the same resume going to every company. But now we tweak them according to the industry and according to the position as well. And, there is some theory that actually resumes will be kind of in the background and it'll be your LinkedIn profile that people are searching. So, but I think you need both. And right now the focus is also on artificial intelligence and getting through. You can only imagine with a lot of unemployed people out there, I would say the average is 250 applications per position, depending on the position. So we have to make sure that resume is going to get into a human's hands. And that's what we work on. So there's actually, a strategy to that and some science behind that as well that we talk about.
Wonderful. These 2 words, value proposition. So we, the words value proposition, I think I'm just going to shut up what does this mean in the world of MSC, and how is it presented as part of our capstone project, but also part of what students work on individually with you?
You know, when I came to the program, I had to create a value proposition for myself, and it was one of the hardest things I ever did because I had never really heard of that before.
Yeah.
I kind of like it to mean it's your own mission statement, but we carry it a little bit of a step further, and it's the value that you can bring to your future employer or your current employer as well. So we go through some exercises to help you write that. It's, I would say if you have never heard of a value proposition, you can Google it and read all about, there's a lot of information out there about creating a value proposition and how to write one. And the MSC program will help you along the way do that. That's not something that we do the first week you're in the program. By, I would say, winter quarter, you're really writing your value proposition. And I use that usually at the top of your resume or as part of your LinkedIn summary. And you'll see once you do these exercises, whatever you're using now, it will change. It will change drastically. And I think a lot of people have epiphanies about what their value really is. It's hard to talk about yourself and really acknowledge the gifts that you bring to the table for somebody. And that's what I love to do with people, is to help them be able to kind of verbalize that and feel confident about doing that. You know, you don't have to be good at everything, but you do have a gift that you're going to bring to this employer. So that's what we do with the value proposition. And it's part of your capstone. So I do work on that with people and we refine it, and it's actually fun. It really, it's an eye opener for people when they do it.
Yeah. I think that it's a highly introspective process, right? There's a lot of kind of self-evaluation that goes into it, and then understanding how you're presenting yourself and how you want to be perceived by the people that you're in front of. I think is something that we just want to make sure that when you leave the MSC program, you are really, really great at talking about yourself, right? And confidently, and in a way that's not, you know, arrogant or anything like that, but saying, hey, this is a thing that I've accomplished and this is something that I'm really great at.
You know, we all have a great story to tell. Yeah. And that's how we transfer information, right? Even from the days of the town crier walking through, you know, your little village. If they didn't have a newspaper or something like that, somebody had to tell a story. And your story is all about you. And like Toby said, it's not, and I have to work with people because they sometimes feel that they're boasting or they are being arrogant, but it's not. I've owned 2 small businesses, and I can only say that I want to hire people that are also excited about what I'm doing, where they fit in. And that's part of your story. Yeah. And what employer wouldn't want to hire somebody like that who brings value and can hit the ground almost running for them the minute they're hired? So that's what helps distinguish you from other folks that are applying for the same position, is the ability for you to be able to articulate that story in a great way, in a really, and that value proposition is often that hook where I'll read somebody's value proposition and I'll say, I really want to meet this person, or they look phenomenal and fabulous, and I'm going to hook them up with somebody else that is looking for somebody like this. Yeah. So it's a key part of the program. It really is.
Great. In the interest of time, we just have a few minutes left, so we'll go through these next ones pretty quickly. Company site visits are part of the career services that exist in the MSC program. Obviously, these are not happening right now, right, in the pandemic.
They're not, but we have, I have connected a few people to some of the companies that we did visit on site. Okay, there's Rotary International. We had two consulting firms. So if people were interested in that, I'm still kind of connecting them.
Yeah.
Hopefully, by next spring or next fall, certainly we'll resume some of those in-person visits as well. And we've pulled in a lot of those people in the whole School of Communication as speakers. So you can attend those Zoom sessions as well.
What a great transition.
Speaker
series. Right. Talk more about, I don't know, some of the things that have happened in the past.
Well, like I said, we had Wayne Bryce Barth, the LinkedIn guru, who was phenomenal. 2 hours of packed information. I mean, totally useful information that people were, I think they were, while he was talking, they were in LinkedIn making changes to their profile. We get, women speakers, women that have made it in business. A lot of times we pull in MSC alums that have used a lot of the great stuff they've learned in the program to advance their careers. I had a panel with recruiters one time so that people could learn how to work with a recruiter and what recruiters were looking for. Like we talked about artificial intelligence, getting the resume in the right hands. We have people from radio, TV, and film that come in, people that talk about your personality and how to brand yourself, marketing folks. And when the program starts, if there's anybody in particular that students want to talk to, I will certainly reach out and pull them in as a speaker as well, or get somebody from an industry to speak with them. Right. It's really, I love the speaker series. It's great.
Yeah. And something I probably should have mentioned up front is that all of these services, with the exception of the value proposition, are optional, right? Like yes. You're not required to attend every speaker series presentation, or you're not required, in fact, I don't believe, right, to meet with Pat one-on-one, but no. You'd be, I think, a little silly not to, but it's all kind of, you shape your interactions with Pat.
And I don't, I like to call my office a judgment-free zone. I don't grade anything, so you don't have to be worried about that. People will actually just come into my office and vent or talk about work, and it's a free zone. And yeah, it's not required, but I think it's really to your advantage to take advantage of that and at least start the process with me, because I can really help point you in, and sometimes you might not even realize you're confused until you come talk to me, and that we need to work on a couple things, I
like it. And then the last slide here is just a reminder. Pat mentioned earlier that she also works with you as alumni. So the career services are available to you, not just during the 1 year that you're in the program, but for the rest of your life. And it's really all of the services that Pat and the EPICS team provide are a big differentiator for the MSc program. So there are very few communication programs like ours that are offering career services, period. But it's such an important part and reason that a lot of you are considering coming to school anyway. So we're really excited that we are able to provide these in general. We have just, oh, sorry, go ahead, Pat.
I'm working with people right now that graduated in the 90s. And one woman that I just talked to yesterday graduated in 2000. And it's different for everybody, depending on when you graduated and what you're doing. Some people maybe have been out of the workforce for 10 years, raising families or taking care of other personal things, and want to re-enter the workforce. So I love doing that. It's and I usually turn those alumni into speakers and mentors for current students as well. So it's a great connector.
Yeah. Wonderful. So we've got a few minutes left here. Does anybody have any questions for Pat about the her experience or career services, or what you might be able to expect working with her as a student in MSc? Please feel free to type any questions you might have into the chat.
Anybody?
So it's a communication program, and you will be expected to communicate with us at times
That
throughout.
was always my joke
This is
with the
good.
School of Communication.
Right.
When they didn't call me, I was like, wait, you're the School of Communication. You have to call me. I think there is one question I see popped up.
Yeah, Grace has a question. Go ahead, Grace.
Sorry, I was typing it. So I'm starting the program in January. I'm really excited. And I guess I just, this might be jumping the gun here, but how soon can I connect with you about what my future career goals are?
You know, we could talk before the program even.
Okay.
Toby could maybe, or Kaylee could send you my email, make sure. And then how this works, just the technical part of it is Northwestern has a platform called Handshake, which is used through universities across the country. And that's where I put your appointment in. So I probably, when school starts for you in January, I would put that appointment in because I do have to count.
Sure.
You know, this is the world of metrics, which I dislike a little bit, but I do have to count each time that we have an interaction. So, but I'm happy to talk to you now. I mean, you're starting in January. It's not too early. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Email me and then we can set up a time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
And I have to say that Zoom has made this so easy because I don't have to wait for anybody to come into the office, and you know, one day is like the other for me. So it's, if you can't talk during the day, people are working. I'm open to evenings. Weekend, you're in class generally on Saturday, but even I've talked to people on Sunday morning, Sunday evening. I'm really very flexible like that. To the dismay of sometimes my boss, but I don't have boundaries like that. I'm used to being a business owner, so you don't turn down business when it comes your way, you know?
Right.
So with regards to kind of access like this, so it's an important question, and Ingrid's question kind of gets to it as well a little bit. But generally what happens is once you have been admitted to the program, and then once you've submitted your tuition deposit, once you've told us you're coming, then about a month before the program starts, whether it's in January or next September, you'll start being invited to conversations, individual one-on-one meetings with Pat and Anne-Marie Adams, our Assistant Director of Student Services. And so just kind of introductory, how are you? What questions do you have? What are you worried about? What are you excited about type conversations before the program begins. Ingrid asks about access to some of the talks and those types of things. Those are specifically designated for current students.
Yes.
So yeah, so you have to be a part of the program.
The LinkedIn profile, although, you know, we have recorded everything and they are living on Handshake. So that's a good question. You know, will it be there next September? I know we're going to have Wayne back next year as well. But for Grace, you're starting in January. You can probably watch the LinkedIn seminar that we had once you start school, once you're in the program. Because it's living on Handshake and we're recording everything now too. So, and do I
That's great.
The question?
AWAC asks, is the MSc program more applied studies or theoretical? So I can kind of answer this, and we're actually going to talk, it's next week's webinar, is all about the curriculum for the program. So we work really hard, and Amy Howenstein is the Director of Curriculum for the MSc, is going to present on this next week, to marry those two things, right? And so learning a bunch of research that you can't actually use is not what we're about, right? And so, and the fact that we even have these career services available, I think is a pretty strong signal to anybody considering the program that we want to teach you things that you're going to be able to use out in the real world. And it's cliche, and I hear it over and over and over, but so many of our students talk about how what they learn on Saturday, they're using right away on Monday when they're going back to work. And so, and even the value proposition that Pat was talking about earlier is you being able to say, because of this academic knowledge, theoretical knowledge that I now possess, I am able to do things for you, for your company that a lot of people can't. And so that combination of theory and practice is really our sweet spot and what we've been doing for almost 40 years now.
Yeah. And I'm a big proponent of applying that hands-on stuff right away. Really, you've got to get into a company, and it just can't be theory, because companies don't thrive on that, right?
Yep.
They need stuff that they can actually put into practice and processes. And we do that in the program. We definitely hit those marks. I mean, whenever I talk to people, they're always telling me, oh my God, I'm using stuff every day that I learned in the MSC. So.
Laura asks, she says, I'm a potential applicant, currently in undergrad and would be joining right out of undergrad. And so wouldn't have a job, right? Obviously, until you're done. Would Career Services be able to help me get a job before I join the program? So I think I was saying a little earlier, so you're not really going to have access to anything until about a month before the program starts.
Yeah, but once, if you're attending like in the fall and we start until you're matriculated, or I talk to you, I would probably be talking to you like the end of July, August. And once I find out kind of what you want to do, I certainly will have suggestions and probably can help you network with folks that can help you. I cannot promise to get anybody a job.
Right. It's a really important.
I was a recruiter for years and had my own small recruiting firm. You know, it got paid by the placement, so I know it's really important, but I can't make that promise. I can point you in the right direction and make connections with you. And like I said, we can get your resume and all that in shape, but interviewing and that is kind of up to you, you know, so.
That's great. Wonderful. Thank you everybody for your questions. We try to keep these to 30 minutes so that they're kind of bite-sized and everybody has a chance to get on with the rest of their day. But big thanks to Pat Messina for joining us today. I really appreciate your time. I always learn
so much. It was a pleasure to meet everybody. I hope I see you either in January or next August. In person, it would be great, you know. So, and if you have any questions, email Kaylee. I'm happy to answer them ahead of time. So
great. And then please join us next week for, like I said, a presentation on the curriculum. So we'll take a deep dive into how the curriculum is designed, how it's delivered, the programmatic themes and where they exist, and how, as Ewak is asking, how this connects to the real world, how you're going to be able to actually use the knowledge that you're gaining as a student in the MSc. So thanks again to Pat. Thanks everybody for joining, and we'll let you get on with your day. Have a great day.
have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.